Welcome all for today's online session of second semester BCA of Kuvempu University. Dear students, in our today's session we are discussing the database management system, and this is our second session. So in our today's session, the topics which we are covering is we are going to learn about the database management system as a whole with its properties, and we are going to learn a real-time example, and we would like to understand what actually a database management system is comprised of. So dear students, before moving on to the second session, let us have a recap of our previous class. I think you are all remember in our session number 1, we have identified the definition of what do we mean by a data, what do we mean by a database, and what do we mean by a database system. So with that understanding of our previous session, let us move on to today's session. So the learning objectives of today's session is the student will be able to understand the definition of a DBMS, and he can easily understand an example pertaining to a database management system. The session outcomes will be a student will be easily able to understand what is DBMS with an example of university. So now let us understand the database management system, which is being called as DBMS in short. So in the last session, dear students, you have learnt about what do we mean by data, and we have learnt how a data should be, what should be its implicit properties. Along with that, we have learnt about a DBMS, the database there. So finally, to sum up all the things which you have learnt in the unit number 1, today we will be learning about something called as database management system. So first, let us have the basic definition of what do we mean by a database management system. See, a DBMS, which stands for Database Management System, it's nothing but a collection of programs that enables any users to create and to maintain a database there. So this is the fundamental thing. That is, you can find out easily that if I am calling something as a system, means it is not a single one. It has to be a collection, or it has to be a combination of more than one. So what more than one means? It's a collection of more than one programs. So what are these programs written for? See, these programs have been written for the users. For what? For creating and maintaining a database. That is, if you want to do work with any of the database, how you can create that, how you can use that, how you can manipulate that, or how you can store the data. Everything is been written with a group of, or a bunch of a program, and that can be collectively called something technically with a term called as database management system. So if you go through the word DBMS, it is only telling, so it's one of the system. For what it is being used, it used for managing. So what is being managed here? Nothing but your database. What is the database? It's nothing but a collection of your data. So more specifically, a DBMS is a general purpose software system which is facilitating each of the following. That is, it is going to do different activities, or it is going to have different functionalities, and every functionality is with respect to your database itself. So now, dear students, let us see what all the functionalities a database management system should possess. So to start off with this definition, we can tell, see, here we are going to specify some data types. Very important term in your database management system is you are going to identify, or you are going to create the data types there. So along with that, you are going to organize your data there. So by keeping in mind the data types as well as organizing the data, let us see the different functionalities of a database management system with respect to a database there. Among them, the first one is construction. See, a database management system, if it has to be used, first and foremost thing is it should allow you to create a new database. Constructing refers to the same process. That is, it is the process of storing the data on some medium. See, if you are going to store the data, it has to be stored in some of the medium. You are going to store it in your system there. So there you can use as an example, we can have some magnetic disk which can be used as a storage medium, and that is controlled by entirely your management system, which is nothing but your database management system. So the first functionality of a database management system is construction of a database management system. Now you assume that you have created a database and you have stored it somewhere, and it is being managed by your DBMS. The second thing is you have to perform various operations. So that we can call cumulatively as manipulation of your DBMS there. So when I'm speaking about a manipulation, that means how you are going to make that stored database into an operating. You can convert your stored data into an operating data. So for that, what you can do is you can perform various operations like querying, updating your data, and generating the reports. See, querying, this is one of the very important, very crucial, the main aspect of your database management system. Querying means you are going to store your data in your secondary storage, or it may be your magnetic disk there. So if a user, he want to know whether that particular data is available in your database or not, he has to ask your DBMS there, isn't it? Now the DBMS should have an interface of interacting with the end users, so that in giving the required data for them. So this process of question and answers between your end user as well as your database management system, it can be termed as what? A querying. Query means asking questions and getting the responses. Second thing is, there may be data which needs something to be changed over the period of time, or it may be over period of some operation. That process we call it as updation process. So even that updation process has to be supported by your database management system. Along with that, if the querying is been done, updation is been done, the final thing is you need to know what is the final outcome you have obtained. For that, you can generate some reports there. And generating the reports is one of the important feature of a database management system, which will be used by any of your end users. It may be your clients, or it may be the person who is going to maintain anything. So this querying, updation and report generation can be easily done by using a DBMS. Therefore, one of the core functionality of your database management system is manipulating the data which it is going to store. So construction is been done, manipulation is done. The next is if I want to tell something as a good DBMS, it should have a property called as sharing. That is, you have your data being stored in your secondary storage devices. It has to be used among different users, isn't it? So when it comes to be used by the different users, so a user which is directly in contact with your data physically, he can use that one. Or else you can have a mechanism called as sharing there. See, what this sharing is going to do is, it is going to allow multiple users means more than one users, and programs to access the databases simultaneously. I'll take an example for you. For example, you want to book a particular product from an Amazon there. You want to purchase a book related to your DBMS management system there. So now there are a lot of books, there is a particular stock available in an Amazon. So now the thing is, my question is, can two or more users coming from different cities and different universities, can they order the same book at the same time? Yes, it is available, isn't it? There may be a person, one student one, who is going to order from Kuvempu University from Shimoga. Or there may be a particular student too who is going to order the same book at the same time from the Government First Grade College Sorba. Or even there may be a student who is going to order that particular book from Bangalore College. So this is happening, isn't it? This can be shared. So this particular property, we are calling it as allowing the multiple users and the programs to access the database simultaneously. One of the simple example I have taken. So after these three basic functionalities, the fourth one is system protection. This is very important. See, now you have created a database system. You are having your data, you're doing the manipulation, you're going to share with your end users. Very important thing is you should have your protection for your system, isn't it? So what do we mean by the system protection is, you are giving a privilege of preventing the database from being corrupted when hardware or a software failure occurs. I think you have understood. You are having your DBMS running in a system. Due to multiple power failures or due to some hardware issues there, the system may get crashed there. At that time, you should have some mechanism wherein your database need not be corrupted, even though there are some issues with respect to your hardware failures there. So this is another property of your DBMS there. And the fifth one is security protection. This is very important thing. You have your data. For example, you have created a data related to your college there. And your college data is completely private. It is related to your college and the department which is running there. It cannot be used by everybody there. Or you have your data related to your bank accounts from your SBI bank or a Canara bank there. That SBI or a Canara bank, they cannot share their customer bank balance or the password with other people there. So very important thing is security protection there. So that is, here you have the ability to prevent your unauthorized or malicious access to your data. So these are the basic functionalities which a database management system should possess with respect to your database. I think you have understood. A database management system, it is nothing but what? It's a collection of program that will enable the user to create and maintain a database. And it should have which all the properties? One is it should allow a construction thing. Then it should have the property of manipulation, sharing, system protection, and system security protection. So with these things being occupied in a DBMS, we can call it is a perfect example for a database management system. So dear students, I think now you are very clear about what you mean by a database management system, what are the things it should have. So with that introduction with your database management system, now let us have a real-time example of a database management system. Now for our today's session, we have taken as an example a university database. See, when it comes to your mind, I think you know your university. The university where you are all studying, it is what? Kuvempu University. Isn't it? All the government focused colleges coming from your Shimoga and Chikmagalur district, they are affiliated to which university? Kuvempu University. Now, if I am telling about an university means it has n number of students, it has n number of courses there, it has n number of colleges there, and it has n number of sections for all the courses. Even it is to generate lot of reports for all the students coming from different courses, isn't it? So, if I speak about a database related to university, is a very large database. So now we will take a sample example of a university database and let us understand how we can create a simple university database and what are the different things it should have and how they can be used in our processing there. See, a university database, it is normally used for maintaining the information concerning students, or it may be courses, grades in an university environment, or even it may be have something related to your colleges, your NSS, different activities there. So for our references, for understanding of a database with respect to university, let us have in this session we'll take only 5 files there. Okay, so in our example, the database is organized into 5 files, each of which stores the data records of the same type there. So I'll just tell you which are the files we are taking there. The first one is the student file, the second one is the course file, third one is the section file, and the fourth one is the grade report file, and the fifth one what we are using for our as a sample is your prerequisite file there. So now let us see what this file represents. See here, what are the files I am telling, they are being internally technically called as tables. So totally we are having 5 files, means we are having how many tables, dear students? Yes, absolutely correct. We are having 5 tables there. The first table or a file student, it is going to store the data on each student. For example, how many students are there in the university? All the details related to your student will be stored in your table or a file called as what? Student. In the same way, the course file, it stores the data on each course, the different courses which are being run by the university there. And the section file, it stores the data on each section of your course. And the fourth one, the grade report, which is very important, it stores the grade that student receives in various sections. And the fifth one, the prerequisite file, store the prerequisites of each course. Now we understood that our database is university and we are having 5 files in the form of a table there. Now assume I am taking the student record or a student table or a file there. What are the things internally it should have? Those things we'll see with this diagram. Dear students, you can see here in the student you are having a simple table which is having 4 columns and 3 rows there. The first column is called as name, that is referring to the name of the student. The second one is student number, it may be a register number. And the third one is class to which the student belongs and the major which he has taken for his studies. So here in this table, in the file student, we have 2 students, one name is Smith and second one name is Brown there. So the register number of the Smith is what? 17, and he is coming from the class number 1 and his major is CS, which refers to computer science. In the same way, you have another student by name Brown, whose student number is 8 and he is coming from the class 2 and even his major is what? CS. For the sample, we have taken only 2 students. In the same way, you can have any number of student records. Dear students, see here the student, it represents a table. Every row will represent a particular record and every column will represent an attribute there. So here you learn 2 new words there. One is called as a row, another one is column, which are called as a record or a tuple, and another one is called as attribute. So what do you mean by this attribute and a tuple? We'll learn in our next online sessions there. So in the same way, when we move on to see what is our second file, that is course, you can see there we have the attributes course name, course number, credit hours of teaching and the department which is belonging to. The first record there is Introduction to Computer Science. It is one of the course and its course number is CS1310, and the credit hours for this is 4 hours a week, and it is coming from CS department. In the same way, data structure is also coming from CS department. You have your another subject called as discrete mathematics, which is having the credit hours of 3 and which is coming from mathematics department. So totally the course is having 4 rows there. And the third file section, which is having 5 attributes there. First one is your section identifier, that is to which section you are dealing there, then course number, semester, then year and instructor. For example, you have a section identifier by number 85 and it is related to which course? Mathematics of second semester. So semester is fall and the year is 7th and the instructor name here is King. In the same way, you can store any number of section details here. This database is related to your US university there. And the fourth one is the grade report. So here you are going to give the grade of individual student. So how are you identifying? By using the student number, section identifying the allotted grade. For example, you can see here for the student numbered 17, in the section identifier 112 he is getting the B grade. In the same way he is getting the C grade for 119 identifier there. And the last one is your prerequisite. In the prerequisites table, here you are going to have your course number along with the prerequisites number there. So dear students, so this is a sample database of university which has 5 tables, that is your student, course and section, followed by the grade report and the prerequisites there. So I think you are clear about from this figure that how we need to create a database and what do we mean by a table or a file and what do we mean by an attribute or a column there. So with that, let us conclude today's session. So in today's session summary is the student is able to understand the definition of a database management system along with the 5 important functionalities related to your database, and along with we have learned today how to have a university database with its different files and attributes there. So dear students, for further references you can refer the 2 books. One is coming from the Fundamentals of Database System, 5th edition by Addison Ville publication, and the author of the book is El Marasi and Nawate. Or even you can refer the book titled Database System Concept by Korth and Sudarshan of McGraw-Hill, 4th edition.